Hello, my name is LaNadia Pugh, and I am enrolled in the EDS Instructional Technology program at Kennesaw State University. My capstone research project was on identifying teacher perceptions on the school-wide implementation of a blended learning program in an alternative school. With the development and implementation of blended learning programs for 21st century students, new pedagogical challenges, questions, and concerns have come to surface about the adaptation of these new learning models in our schools today. More importantly, this study was designed to identify if teacher perceptions will have a great influence on the successes and failures of these newly implemented programs, especially in an alternative school setting. With Georgia schools ranking the third lowest in the United States for students graduating and or completing high school, and some schools have been under fire for poor performance and cheating on state mandating testing, educators need new learning strategies for chronically underachieving students and should look at ways to close the student achievement gap. Perhaps teacher attitudes and perceptions might be a contributing factor to how well students not only acquire information taught from the teacher, but also affects how they demonstrate what they learn inside and outside of the classroom. The purpose of this study was to identify teacher perceptions while implementing a newly developed blended learning model in one of Georgia's alternative schools. There is no evidence that suggests that any one method of delivering instructions works to educate every child. Furthermore, current literature provides some insight on teacher perceptions of blended learning with poor and chronically underachieving youth in various schools across the country, but needs further exploration. My aim is to uncover perceptions during the actual implementation phase of a blended learning program to see if teachers are aware of their perceptions and the effect they have on teaching strategies used and even the progress of student learning. It may be that teachers have negative views of blended learning because of the lack of professional development available to teachers before, during, and after implementation. It could be the use of same teaching methods for all students or insufficient technology integration. After exploring extensive literature on blended learning versus online learning, research shows that blended learning enhances the learning process. It increases collaboration and student engagement. It also allows teachers to customize their learning interventions, such as assessment strategies used, instructional delivery methods, to modify collaborative experiences in the classroom, and to provide authentic learning to students of all ability levels. You can also support struggling learners such as those who are ELL, at risk, have learning disabilities. In addition, blended learning and online learning have the potential to provide critical improvement for educators and students for all low-performing schools in Georgia. The methodology used was a qualitative case study. The purpose of choosing a qualitative case study was to illuminate teacher perceptions on blended learning, to uncover potential barriers during the implementation of blended learning, and the findings will be used to adopt blended learning in all alternative school settings. Study participants. The study participants involved in the case study were highly qualified teachers that worked in a Title I school. Their teaching experience ranged from 0 to 10 years, and various content areas were represented, including language arts, science, social studies, math, and electives. The research site selected was in one of Georgia's alternative schools. Overview of analysis. Data was collected in numerous ways. These data collection methods included classroom observations, semi-structured interviews, some of which were announced and unannounced, sources of rich text documents, such as those collected from the research site included aggregated and disaggregated data sources, Crestwell analyst procedures used, a conceptual data analysis was conducted. In addition, the researchers triangulated, transcribed, coded, and analyzed the data to generate numerous themes. Lastly, reliability, validity was established in many ways by having peer reviewers, audit checks, and taking the appropriate measures to address sources of error and bias. Overview of results. Many themes emerged after analyzing the data on blended learning. They were implementation or instructional strategies used, technology or digital tools and resources used by teachers in the classroom, such as personal computers, learning management systems, e-class, iPads, and Kindles. Beneficial learning outcomes, such as if teachers felt if students were achieving academically or providing meaningful experiences in the classroom. Professional development, used and received, whether if it was on-site, online, or county-based. Classroom management, strategies used in which students were engaged during implementation of blended learning, and teachers felt their classrooms were positive. Lastly, teacher perceptions vary based on the implementation strategies used. Perceptions were seen as positive if teachers felt that they were supported during the entire implementation process, while other perceptions were perceived as negative when teachers lacked adequate tools or needed more support. Conclusion. My research uncovered that teacher perceptions were heavily influenced by teacher support or help given during the implementation phase, instructional strategies used, which could be independent learning, group work, cooperative learning, and traditional classroom instruction, the amount of professional learning received, whether it was on-site or county-based. Teachers that were properly trained had a positive outlook on the new blended learning model than teachers who were forced to comply with the new learning initiative. Lastly, how familiar teachers and students were at using new technology tools such as e-class influenced teacher perceptions. Reflection. Recommendations for blended learning in any alternative school would be to provide ongoing professional learning for teachers, to hire a technology team, to hire technology and instructional coaches to provide extra support in curriculum, assessment, instruction, and one-on-one coaching to make sure teachers and students have an adequate amount of support. In addition, ensuring that we have enough technology tools, equitable access for all students, and making sure that teachers are aware of how to use the learning management system to deliver effective teaching and instruction. Furthermore, blended learning programs combined with technology-based learning and face-to-face traditional instruction can make students effectively engage in a range of learning experiences. These blended learning programs may also promote and improve the way classroom instruction is delivered and how students learn. Lastly, utilizing a blended learning model will help teachers recognize and, most importantly, cater to all the learning needs of 21st century students. Here are my references, and I hope you enjoyed my capstone research on blended learning.